When we talk about professional sports, one of the main things that comes to our mind is the Olympic Games. The Olympic Games that is beloved throughout the whole globe. What is the Olympic Games? The Olympic Games is essentially a series of sports competition that is broadcasted throughout the whole world. And actually, the most recent Olympic Games that took place was in 2024, and it was located in Paris, where the host hosted a series of events from the court to the track and field and even in their own city grounds. And this allowed the athletes to shine their brightest and perform in the world's top stage. But the motion that was introduced today by the House and is being supported by our very own government might very well destroy the current world that the athletes live in, might very well destroy the hard work that our national athletes have put in throughout their whole life. And we might as well just say to them, retire now, because you have no hope of whatsoever winning another medal in the future. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to the timekeeper, the government benches, and the honorable judges. My name is Adam Akmal bin Ahmad Fairuz, and today I stand as the first opposition minister in the opposition team in order to revoke, refute, and disagree with the motion introduced by the House today. Let me begin by reiterating the motion that was introduced earlier. The House would remove gender divisions in professional sports and classify athletes based on performance metrics instead. And I will be dissecting this motion one by one in hopes that we are able to reach a level of understanding to begin our debate on the same level. The first big phrase that came up in this motion is gender division. What is gender division, ladies and gentlemen? Gender division is basically the allocation of different genders into their own separate leagues where they are left to compete with each other without any disruption by another gender. For example, the men's football team fights with only the men's football teams, while the women's football teams only serve to play with the other nations of women football team. And the second phrase that came up in this motion is professional sports. What is a professional sport? A professional sport is a sport where athletes are paid to compete, and sports are their main source of income. It is not only a sport, it is a business with leagues and teams generating revenues through ticket sales, broadcasting rights, and even sponsorships from famous clubs, famous sports brand. Okay. And last but not least, a phrase that was introduced in this motion is performance metrics. What? The performance metrics is basically a quantifiable measurement used to assess and evaluate an athlete's or team's abilities, technique, and effectiveness. Now that I have laid the groundwork, I hope that we can reach a level playing field and begin a great debate ahead of us. Allow me to start by introducing the status quo of today's world. The status quo here is that professional sports are played with a gender barrier, and the government hopes to break that gender barrier and classify athletes in performance metrics instead. And let's not forget about our stakeholders. Who are the main stakeholders in this motion? One of them is the male athletes, and the most important stakeholder is the female athlete. Which brings me to the first argument as to why I disagree fully with this motion. it is because of the sheer physical difference between male athletes and female athletes. The performance between men and women heavily weighs down on their bodily strength, specifically the amount of muscles that their body has. The job of these muscles here is to produce force when we do work and sports. And plenty of research has been thoroughly done that determine that men has denser muscles than their gender counterparts, leading to a better performance in strength and velocity sports such as weightlifting. To elucidate, sports like weightlifting would leave the female in their own category as per the research mentioned earlier, since the male athletes are able to lift 25% more weight, ladies and gentlemen, than their gender counterpart, which is a significant bump in performance, putting only men in the elite division while the woman gets discarded into the lower division. And this basically is the old system where male and female are in different league, are in different divisions. Therefore, we shouldn't try to mix men and women through performance metrics because of the physical difference that we are born with and fated throughout our whole life. We cannot change that. We cannot change that because that is human nature. And the second argument that I bring to the table today is we should not remove gender divisions in order to maintain inclusivity in the sports. It is an important value, inclusivity that is, so that all athletes are able to achieve success in their own respective fields without a specific gender domination. That is to say, if the events were to be mixed with male and female athletes, then the chances to win a medal or trophy would be slimmer for one party than the other. To illustrate, when we start off preliminaries in one of the most popular track and field event, which is the 100 meter, we might see that everybody is given a fair chance of participating. But in the end, they are only going to be men in the final heat, being the closest to all three medals, while the women athletes stand outside, nowhere to be found on the track, because they are only there as mere spectators. In a nutshell, if we were to follow the government's footsteps on this matter, we will only reap the hard work of our women athletes from them, disregarding inclusivity and the chance for them to earn something throughout their whole career. And conclude my speech today, ladies and gentlemen, I urge the honorable judges to side with the opposition, because a world where the government rules will only serve to contradict the nation's hope in competing with top-rate countries. Choose wisely, choose the opposition. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.